Welcome to Mysteries and Crime, where we explore the world's most haunting mysteries and gripping crimes. Hidden in today's episode is a key clue. What critical piece of evidence tied Wayne Couzens directly to Sarah Everard's disappearance? Think you can solve it? Listen carefully and share your answer in the comments. Today we unravel the chilling tale of Sarah Everard, a case that shocked a nation and ignited a global conversation about safety, trust, and systemic accountability. This story is filled with disturbing twists, heart-wrenching moments, and lingering questions that remain unanswered. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with others who love exploring true crime. Now let's dive into the tragic and deeply unsettling case of Sarah Everard. On the evening of March 3rd, 2021, Sarah Everard, a 33-year-old marketing executive, disappeared while walking home from a friend's house in Clapham, South London. It was a routine walk Sarah had taken many times before, but that night her journey ended in a horrifying and senseless tragedy. Her remains were discovered days later in a wooded area over 50 miles from where she was last seen, sparking outrage and sorrow worldwide. This case would ultimately reveal shocking truth about abuse of power and systemic failure, leaving us all to wonder, how could such a crime happen? The streets of Clapham Common were quiet that night, illuminated only by the orange glow of streetlights. Sarah's last known movements were captured on CCTV. She walked briskly, phone in hand, wearing a bright green jacket. She had called her boyfriend earlier, chatting about mundane things, unaware of the dark fate awaiting her. She walked past familiar landmarks, each step bringing her closer to what she believed was the safety of her home. But lurking in the shadows was someone who had already made chilling plans. Days later, in a remote corner of Kent, the grim discovery was made. Sarah's remains were hidden in a wooded area near Ashford. Investigators at the scene described an eerie quietness, the kind that seems to hang over a place marked by tragedy. Among the evidence recovered were fragments of Sarah's clothing and other personal items, charred beyond recognition, as though someone had tried to erase every trace of her. The discovery left seasoned officers shaken and the community reeling. It was clear that the person behind this heinous act had gone to great lengths to cover their tracks. As news of Sarah's disappearance spread, law enforcement launched a massive search operation, combing through streets, parks, and waterways. Helicopters circled above, and volunteers joined the search on foot, holding on to the faint hope of finding Sarah alive. Flyers with Sarah's face plastered London, and her story dominated headlines. Fear rippled through the city, especially among women who saw in Sarah's story their own vulnerabilities laid bare. Social media became a hub of both support and speculation. Hashtags like Find Sarah trended, amplifying awareness, but also fueling baseless theories and rumors. Whispers of suspicion and speculation grew louder with each passing day. Who could have taken Sarah, and why? The answers would be more shocking than anyone could have imagined. Sarah was a kind and vibrant person, deeply loved by her family and friends. She had a passion for life, enjoying hikes, music, and spending time with those closest to her. Friends described her as dependable, warm, and full of laughter. She had a way of making people feel seen and valued, an irreplaceable presence in the lives of those who knew her. Sarah's life was a blend of the ordinary and the extraordinary. She worked as a marketing executive and was deeply committed to her career. But she also made time to travel, explore new hobbies, and cherish her relationships. Her last evening was spent catching up with a close friend. A moment of simple joy, that would later stand in stark contrast to the horror that followed. In remembering Sarah, it's important to hold on to these moments of her life that were filled with light. Clapham, a bustling area of London, was known for its vibrant community and serene parks. On the surface, it seemed like the last place something so sinister could occur. The tree-lined streets and friendly neighborhoods masked the danger that lurked in the shadows that night. The area's charm made the crime even more jarring, a harsh reminder that even the most familiar places can harbor unimaginable threats. For women across the city, Sarah's disappearance shattered the illusion of safety. Walking alone, especially at night, was a simple act so many took for granted. After this tragedy, it became a source of fear and hesitation. The impact of this crime rippled far beyond Clapham, igniting global discussions about safety, systemic reform, and the pervasive fear women often carry in their daily lives. The timeline of events painted a chilling picture. At 9:30 p.m., Sarah left her friend's house to walk home. By 9:38 p.m., CCTV captured her walking along Poinders Road. She appeared calm, unaware she was being followed. Then, she vanished. For 6 days, her family and friends clung to hope. But on March 10th, their worst fears were confirmed. The arrest of Wayne Couzens, a serving Metropolitan Police officer, sent shockwaves through the public. Surveillance footage and mobile phone data linked him to Sarah's abduction. Investigators pieced together his movements. Couzens had used his police identification and handcuffs to falsely arrest Sarah, under the guise of a COVID-19 violation. He then drove her over 50 miles to Kent, where the unimaginable happened. It's a sequence of events that begs the question: how could someone sworn to protect the public commit such a heinous act? The investigation uncovered a web of damning evidence. Forensic experts identified Sarah's DNA in Couzens' car. Surveillance footage showed his vehicle on the route where she was last seen. Items belonging to Sarah were found burned near Couzens' property. These pieces fit together to reveal a chilling and calculated crime, but they also raised deeper questions about systemic failures. How had Couzens, someone with a history of troubling behavior, been allowed to remain in a position of power? Could his actions have been prevented? Through their work, investigators also uncovered a disturbing timeline of Couzens' behavior. Reports surfaced that he had previously been accused of indecent exposure, raising serious questions about why those allegations were not properly addressed. Was this a failure of oversight, or a broader cultural issue within the force? These revelations left many grappling with the uncomfortable truth that Sarah's tragedy might have been avoidable. Witness accounts offered additional insight. A local driver recalled seeing a woman resembling Sarah in the back seat of a car, appearing distressed but silent. Another witness reported seeing a man acting suspiciously near the area where Sarah's remains were later found. These fragments of information, though invaluable, also serve as haunting reminders of missed opportunities. What if someone had acted sooner? Could Sarah's life have been saved? As the case unfolded, theories emerged. Many believed Couzens meticulously planned the abduction, using his authority to exploit Sarah's trust. Others speculated about his motives. Was this a one-time escalation, or part of a pattern of behavior? Some conspiracy theories even suggested the involvement of others, though no evidence has supported this. What do you think? Was Couzens' crime a result of unchecked power, or something deeper and darker? The media's coverage of Sarah's case was intense and unrelenting. While it brought much-needed attention to issues of safety and accountability, it also raised ethical concerns. Sensationalized headlines and invasive reporting often overshadowed the human tragedy at the center of the story. Yet, this case also sparked a global conversation, forcing governments and institutions to confront uncomfortable truths about systemic flaws. In court, the details of the crime were laid bare. Couzens confessed, admitting to kidnapping, raping, and murdering Sarah. The prosecution presented a harrowing account of his actions, while Sarah's family delivered heart-wrenching victim impact statements. Couzens was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, a rare and severe punishment in the UK. But for many, justice felt incomplete. Could systemic changes prevent future tragedies, or was Sarah's case a chilling anomaly? Despite the conviction, lingering mysteries remain. Why did Couzens escalate to such a horrifying crime? Were there warning signs overlooked by his colleagues or supervisors? And most chillingly, could he have harmed others before Sarah? These unanswered questions leave room for speculation and a deep sense of unease. Each of these questions points to systemic gaps that must be addressed to prevent such crimes from recurring. Psychological experts have analyzed Couzens' behavior, pointing to disturbing patterns of manipulation and abuse of power. His ability to blend into his role as a police officer while harboring such dark intentions highlights the dangers of unchecked authority. The emotional toll on Sarah's family, friends, and community is immeasurable, a stark reminder of the human cost of systemic failure. This case serves as a reminder of how trust, once broken, is nearly impossible to rebuild, especially when it involves those sworn to protect. Sarah's case became a turning point in cultural and societal conversations about women's safety. It sparked protests, vigils, and widespread advocacy for change. The UK government introduced measures to improve street safety, but critics argue these efforts fall short of addressing the root causes. Sarah's story resonated globally, a tragic reminder of the ongoing fight for justice and equality. It became a symbol of resilience and a call to action for systemic reform, urging society to confront the inequalities that allowed this crime to occur. Forensic technology played a crucial role in solving this case, from DNA analysis to surveillance tracking. But it also highlighted limitations. Could advancements in predictive policing or behavioral profiling have identified Couzens earlier? While technology offers powerful tools, the human element, awareness, accountability, and action remains essential. This case also underscores the importance of thorough background checks and transparency within institutions of power. Unsolved leads from the investigation continue to raise questions. Reports suggest Couzens may have been linked to prior incidents of harassment and abuse of power. Were these warning signs ignored? Could pursuing these leads shed light on other victims or prevent future crimes? These lingering threads highlight the urgent need for reform and accountability. Sarah's case bears striking parallels to other crimes involving abuse of power. Examining these connections reveals patterns that demand systemic reform. Lessons from her story must not only be learned, but acted upon, ensuring no one else endures such a fate. By identifying these patterns, society can begin to address the deeper issues that allow such crimes to persist, fostering change that can save lives in the future. And that concludes the story of Sarah Everard, a haunting tale that leaves us with more questions than answers. What do you think motivated Couzens? Could systemic changes prevent similar tragedies? Or are we destined to see such stories repeated? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to answer today's hidden clue. What critical piece of evidence tied Wayne Couzens directly to Sarah Everard's disappearance? Your answer could earn you a featured shout-out in next week's episode. Solve it for a chance to be featured in our next episode. Until then, stay vigilant and stay safe.